I am the Red Panda of Death, and it's time for In the Library of Graphic Literature. And now, something exactly like it was last week. Blah! Oh my god, oh my god, oh, here I am, fresh in, from Hawaii, as you can tell, on my Hawaiian shirt. Once again, from a secret, undisclosed location, somewhere deep in the bowels of historic downtown St. John's, Newfoundland, comes In the Library of Graphic Literature, where we are right now, with your hosts, that guy right here in front of you, Wallace Ryan. Blah. How's everyone doing? Just had a little snowstorm there last night, and now it's back on. It's nice enough now. It's not sunny out, but it's up around freezing, around 0 or 30 degrees Fahrenheit for you American folks out there. So it's actually quite nice. Whew. Oh, what a week! What a week! Anyway, I got a couple of new things to show you, and a couple of old things actually. So some new, some old, and some in between. Of course, first out of the gate. Hang on a sec. We've just been there. First out of the gate this week. What is it? Or actually next week. So you're getting a preview here. Is issue number 4 of Nobody's in Control from Black Mask, featuring Patrick Kinlan on the writing, the amazing Paul Tucker on the art, and the sensational Wallace Ryan doing lettering. So this was it's a great book. It really is worth reading. I know, I'm just saying it because I hand lettered it, but it's a great book. The art, the story, everything. And this, I think, has to be without doubt my finest bit of lettering yet. So definitely run out, pick yourself up a copy of Nobody is in Control, and if I ever meet you, I'll sign it and I'll give you a hug. Okay, so there's a little bit of shameless promotion. Now, down to the meat of the issue here. So let's start with. We'll start with the. Oh, why not this? This is a beauty I've been waiting for a while. For you, Steve Ditko fans out there. Hold on to your hats, sit down, get ready. Boom, 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 boom. Volume 2 of Marvel Masters of Suspense. Woo. So essentially, Ditko horror stories from the 50s. Very much akin to the famed 2 volumes of Kirby Monster Bus that came out there a couple of years ago. Featured all his monster stories from the 60s. Oh, love the sound of a new book when you're opening it up. Hey? And just even listening to that cracking. Let's see. Yeah, nice spine. Okay, let's have a look at it without the cover on it. Ooh. I always like having a look at it that way, right? Or look, as you can see from that end. Woo! So yeah, very nice. Very nice. And very much anticipated. I am, of course, like any good connoisseur of comics, a huge fan of the late Mr. Ditko. And the late Stanley. Some of these I did have. Where are they? In the, I don't know if you can see them in the camera, the Atlas era Masters, but they ended those a few years ago, which of course flipped me out because I was hoping, I wanted to get like as much Kirby and Ditko stuff as I could in hardcover, and of course, I think I got just about everything, at least that Marvel has put out in hardcover by the two of them for the 60s and the 70s and that. But not for the 50s. A few, like I say, a few of those early Atlas era ones, but beyond that, that was the end of it. Oh, sorry. I love this book. I love anything by Ditko. I'll kiss. Oh, and even rub my cheek up against. But anyway, very good book. So any fan of comic book art out there, here we go. Let's have a good look at the cover. Nice, eh? Here's the spine. And let's have a look at the back. There's the back. But yeah, Ditko has, I loved his layouts, but his design sense was amazing. But he has a, I don't know, I was just attracted to Ditko from an early age. There's a tension in his figures, in the faces, in all his characters. It's like everyone's just a step away from going insane. So this has some of those amazing fantasy, which, of course, I already have in another version, but I don't care, I wanted as much of his stuff as I could get my grimy little paws on. So yeah, very nice, eh? And once again, here is that wonderful cover. Don't tell me you don't like it. Don't. Okay. So anyway, that's good old Steve Ditko. We love you, Steve. We love you big time. Now let's move along. I could actually talk about Mr. Ditko for hours and hours, but I've already talked to him over the past the past couple of years, a lot about him, so I'll talk about someone else that I love. That's what I like about doing the show too, as opposed to, you might even notice a bit of a difference between the Wallace that you see here and the Wallace that you get to experience on Thursday Comics. Because they're two different Wallaces. The Wallace you see and enjoy and love here is the Wallace who loves comics, who likes just to talk about what he loves. Wallace the snob. Wallace the stupidly positive person. No, what it is when I started the Library of Graphic Literature group years ago, and you've heard this before, but I only talked about it anyway. I just wanted to have a group where we just talk about all the comics we love. We love. Because if you're talking about the comics you love, then you're generally talking about a higher quality of comics. And that's why, for instance, I only review and talk about stuff I love. And if I don't love it, then I won't talk about it. So if you wonder, well, geez, why doesn't Wallace talk more about this person or that person? It's probably because I don't love them. So by their very absence, I don't like them. Now in Thursday Comics, I'll tell you why I don't like them. So and I like that show too, because it's I get to exercise my critical thinking when it comes to comics too, because it's good to be able to look at comics and be able to, it's one thing to be able to talk about what's so good about them, but it's another thing to be able to intelligently and without name calling give a critical review of someone's material, why they're good, or why they suck, how they could be better is the other thing. That's the main thing I think with critics. Even if you tell them they suck or whatever, you should be able to tell them in such a way that you also show them the path how not to suck. And so that's what I try to do. Anyway, speaking of which, we're gonna have a look here at Joe Golem by Michael Mignola and his crew. Golden, as a matter of fact. Christopher Golden. Of course, as you all know, I'm a huge fan of Mr. Mignola and the Mignola-verse. It's just something really creepy and eerie in a really non-Warren kind of way about these stories. They're just great stories. Very different. there's always someone being hunted or something like that, right? So yeah. And Joe Golem is an occult detective. So I mean, how can you go wrong with that? Well, the truth is, you can't. So yeah, check it out from fine folks at Dark Horse. Dark Horse, boy, you've been putting out some good stuff the past few years. Keep it up. Okay, now this is one I went back to pick up, and I was very curious about this, but Dennis recommended this to me, so I got it, and also I read his read Sonia stuff recently, Gail Simone's, and I loved it, so I figured, if she was that good with Red Sonja, she must be okay too with Wonder Woman. So this is the Wonder Woman by Gail Simone Omnibus. Check it out. I'll have a quick look at the artwork anyway. Well, here, first of all, the cover. Here's the spine and the back. But yeah, there you go. Isn't it nice? Isn't it wonderful? But yeah, I mean, the art looks pretty good. Even just flipping through it, I'm liking what I see. And like I say, there was just something Gail's just a darn good writer. I mean, the stories are fascinating, writes good male and female characters. And very interesting stories. Like I said, I can get into them. It's more than just a punch fest with Gail and other fine writers like herself. So great, yeah, great. Ooh, let's have a look at it without the dust jacket. I always kind of like looking at them, see what they look like. Now this one looks kind of plain compared to the other one, but I was very curious what they look like. Anyway, that's all the new stuff. Not a huge week this week, but hey, Dems to breaks. I usually try to, and I recommend anyone trying to start a library or grow their library, is to get out there and buy at least one book a week. One book a week. Really, you can do it. It doesn't have to be an expensive book. It can just be like a $20 book. Something like, I know this, okay, this is 29 in States, so $34, like this little Lulu one. You can always find great little books like that. Anyway, let's give it a spin here. Now, the Spotlight Fantastique, the Spotlight Artistique this week, I will shine it on John Stanley. And not as much on Little Lulu, which, was is one of his signature works, but on something that I acquired recently. This I got a month or two ago, and I'm loving it too, by the way. There's just something really cool about Lulu. But John Stanley, Stanley was born in, oh God, what was it, 1923, something like that. Anyway, he worked most of his career actually with Western Publishing, and when they split off from Dell, he was one of the few who actually stuck with Dell. But I mean, he did a lot of his most famous work, like I say, was with Little Lulu. I mean, he met with Marge, and they talked about it, and she more or less had told him what the whole book was, and he took it like in his own direction, but still remaining faithful to the character, but still adding something really nice to it. He sort of really fills out characters, I find, when he writes them. And so anyway, this is and like I say, this is one I've shown recently, so I don't mind giving it another quick show here. The Lulu, there should be another volume of this out soon. But yeah, very it's just something really neat about this type of humor. I can actually really see why Alan Moore likes this. There's something really refreshing and innocent and just plain fun. About all his works, actually. Now, what I wanted to highlight was this. I managed to snag an amazing deal and picked up actually four of the John Stanley books that cover his time at Nancy, which is where he went after Little Lulu. Now, funny, when I was a kid, I wasn't a huge fan of Ernie Bushmiller's Nancy. It was kind of, I don't know, it just never really did it in some ways, but reading this, it's just like, I don't know, it takes it up another notch somehow, right? Same too with the most recent Nancy, which you can get actually in a collected form too. The person who's doing that, his name escapes me right now, Olivia, whatever her name is. Anyway, doing an amazing job. But when I seen this, because I knew the name of John Stanley, and I knew that his Nancy run was supposed to be worth reading, I picked it up. And so this is the first book in the series. There's four books in the series. The other neat thing about this, of course, is that they're all designed, and beautifully designed. Beautifully designed. May I say it a third time? Beautifully designed by Seth. He did an amazing job, I thought, with the Peanuts collection and these. It's just the attention to detail, like I love the end paper, stuff like that. Coming into, you know, it's not just jumping right into it. There's a few inner pages like that, really cool. And then beautiful little, I love his writing. He got really nice handwriting too. It just looks like his handwriting. Nice pattern like that, see that? Then of course closing out. Ooh. Come on. Damn it. Don't make me tear a page out of you. I'll teach you a lesson. So yeah, very nice book. So I got all four of them. Let's have a quick look. And so hopefully I'm going to try to read as much of this the weekend as I can. Very cool. There you go. Isn't that nice? I love that that metallic ink there. Very cool. But now the other cool thing about these books is I bought these books. These books were once formerly owned by the great cartoonist known as Joe Matt. I bought one other book off him too recently. It was a collection of Winsor McCay strips, including a lot I didn't have. That's why I went for it. Then I seen these. He had all four of these up recently, and no one had bid on them. And it was going for like a really good price. It was just like, God, I hate myself. But I didn't hate myself enough not to buy them. So, and I'll tell you one thing: if anyone's ever buying books from Joe or anything like that, the guy is an absolute maestro when it comes to packaging books properly to be shipped. They arrived in great condition. They were bubble wrapped unlike anything I'd ever seen before. Came absolutely spotless. I mean, there's some natural wear and tear because obviously, but very slight. It's obviously it's no more than you'd see them from being in on the shelf. Once again, look. Really cool little things like that. You gotta love it, alright? Here's another one. Nancy with Sluggo there. And let's just have one last quick look at this Nancy and Sluggo. Sweet, hey? But yeah, it's if you haven't had a chance to read some of these, give him a shot. He's as one of our friends said, he made Nancy very cool. He was able to do with Nancy what Ernie Bushmiller couldn't. So yeah, definitely pick it up. One of the best great writers of comic bookdom, and you should explore him. Check him out. Okay, anyway, Well, it's pretty quick show in a lot of ways. Some cool stuff. Of course, now next Thursday. Oh, let's give this a spin. I don't know how many of you checked out our latest podcast on Thursday Comics, but we're of course now on Spotify and on iTunes. Thursday Comics. It's every second Thursday, so next Thursday will be our next episode. We're going to be shooting it the weekend, and check it out. Share it around a lot if you can too. We want to get the word out because it's fun. Me and Dennis Osborne, my co-host and co-creator of the show, we have a lot of fun. We talk about comics and we talk about them as brutally honestly as we can. And we if we have to swear sometimes, we swear sometimes. So you'll notice that's why it's marked and promoted as an adult show. As a matter of fact, I think so far of the 6 shows we got, I think 5 of them. No, of the 6 shows we got, I think 3 of them have been marked explicit. So I usually throw in a few extra swear words just to make sure, because kind of take a perverse pride in that. Anyway. There's that sound. We know that there's a boom tube somewhere in my future. So, of course, folks, I'll see you in the Library of Graphic Literature here next week. And keep on reading and keep on buying them books filled with comics. Oh my God, there it is. It's trying to suck me away. Okay, guys. Love you. Bye. Whoa. Splash.